So if we want to create this to be a new block somehow, we'll just call it Motu2. Hopefully you're doing more than just changing that to constitute another block. So after you've done all your editing to the block, you would just not right click it, you would just select it. So after you're done all your editing to said block, so after you're ready to turn it into a block and you've done all your editing, you're just going to select it and then just hit B on your keyboard and click enter. And then here's your block definition window. And this is how you create all your blocks. You'll spend a lot of time in here if you're creating and developing a database. This is how you got the same kind of pick down menu, so you can steal names, and that's actually kind of helpful. So in this case, you can override in a sense here too, but it's probably not good in our case. I want to show you for an example. So I'm going to call this, you can just steal a name that way. So, you know, Motu2 select object. You can do it this way too, but I've already done that. Like, you can do it either way. You can either select it on the screen, or you can select it from clicking this and then selecting it. And you want to pick a pick point. That's kind of like the one other thing you really want to make sure you do. If you miss that, then I think it automatically picks it up on the left corner of the, or maybe it just might pick it up right here because this might count as a corner. Either way, you want it. In this case, it's not as specific. Something like those, a pick point, like I've said before, is like on the Ashley EQ over here. Let me just close this for a second. We haven't made that into a block yet. On this EQ, the pick point is where I pick it up from, basically. So when I click it on here, you'll notice it always ends up on the top cable run, basically, if you want to call it that, on connection 1. And that's just so that when you're throwing it in, obviously it wouldn't be attached to the Motu, but just for an example, it would be attached right there, and you know, left matches up with left, or left matches up with 1, and it works all the way down, you know, because most things are a left and right in audio. So that's what a pick point is, and in this case, it's important to do. So let's go back, select it all, click B. We're going to steal the name again just by going down to that area, click 2, so that we have now renamed it as Motu2. Maybe you put a different model number in there, maybe whatever. It doesn't really matter what you're using it for. You may not even be using this for audio. So you go here and you click pick point, and now it just gives you the option to pick a location where you want this to be dropped in as, where you'll be. And something like the Motu, something like a soundboard, it's kind of hard because they're on kind of that in-between stage. Things plug into it and they plug into other things, unlike the EQ where I mirrored it on the side of anything on the output side will have its own anything on the output side will have its own cable runs attached, so that it makes the board block much cleaner. It doesn't have a bunch of little nibs sticking out of it. Same thing with the Motu. And again, this is all part of like customization. I can't make it too... This also has to do with customization. I can't make it too specific because then other people's minds work different ways. So I'm trying to make it as universal without breaking it in any way. So in this case, you can pick wherever you want. In this case, you could pick the top corner, or you could pick this location. Let's say you've already dropped in whatever your source is, your input devices. Maybe you want to mirror that up with here. It depends maybe what your common practice is. For our sake, let's just pick it up right on the top left corner. So now we've picked that. Select objects. Because we stole the name, we have to select the objects again. So if you don't want to do that, you type in the name yourself. It could be a way not just to steal names, you can reference names then. You know, you can say, oh, okay, I called it RTS space dash space Motu. Okay, I'll call this one the same, but then put 2 at the end. It can be a reminder, because sometimes these names can get a little bit cryptic if you're using lots of, keep them small, I recommend that. You don't want it to be a big long, you don't want it to be a big long file name or name in general, because then it's kind of irritating to read. And try to, I kept like, the RTS with a little RTS in front so that it's easy for later use later. So it's easy for organization later. You can keep them very balanced in your head so that it helps when you're getting them into your tool palettes from the Design Center window. So we've done everything here. Now we just want to click OK. And you can see here, it's not just random lines and text anymore with some circles in it. It's now designated as RTS Motu 2, and it's definitely not the other one as well, because we can go here and we can see, clicking I, enter, we've got 2 separate blocks now. I mean, there's really no reason to having 2 blocks this similar, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. So now we've got these two blocks. You know, if you've gone and followed through this, you've now created a block like I designed them basically for this. So you'll basically, that taught you all the things you need to know, except for the dynamic formatting, which I will go into later. If you go into the Design Center now, though, you'll see that it's been added a new block, Motu 2, or version 2, or whatever you mean that to designate, whatever you named it.